Jen here with another video for you. I know I'm on a roll. It's like the third video in a week. But I finished When the Sky Fell on Splendor by Emily Henry. First, I have to fully disclose that I love Emily Henry. You can find reviews for A Million Junes and The Love That Split the World on this channel. All three of these books are standalones, and she writes in, you could say magical realism, kind of magical realism, speculative fiction, kind of combined. But she is one of my favorite authors, and she's written 3 books, has yet to written a book that I did not love. This book was actually all 3 of her books are super emotional for me, because for me, her books really resonate on like a soul level. And just like the topics that she's willing to touch, just really get me. This book I was super excited to read. The premise was a little bit different than her previous books, so I wasn't sure what necessarily to expect. But I will also preface this by saying that I feel like you either get Emily Henry's writing or you don't get it. And if you don't get it and you don't like thinking about things like metaphysical things, and that's just not your jam, you're not going to like Emily Henry's books, in my opinion. So I feel like people who, like, I don't even bother reading reviews from other people anymore. So that's oftentimes like, what? Do we even read the same book? But just putting it out there, if you aren't into the metaphysical, if you don't even know what the metaphysical is, then you're probably not going to enjoy this book. So essentially this follows 6 kids who call themselves the Ordinary. They live in a town called Splendor, Ohio, which Emily Henry, I know, lives in. I don't know if she's from. I think she's from Ohio, in Cincinnati, Ohio. So Splendor, I think, is just, you know, based on a rural Ohio town. And Splendor, I think she chose that name just because of the play on the town, and the town dynamic. So, which is kind of the opposite of something splendid. So the main character is Franny, and essentially, you know, she's seniorish age. They're not really in school here at this time, which is kind of nice because sometimes that just adds an extra dimension that either you want in a story or you don't want. In this story, I don't think it would have been necessary at all. But the town had a horrible incident at the mill, and it really affected the town. And so they kind of all pin the blame on this one guy who didn't show up that day, when he didn't do a check that he was supposed to do or something. So he kind of becomes the town outcast slash hermit slash recluse. But our protagonist is Franny. It's told in the first person, and she's part of a group called the Ordinary, which is 5 other kids, 6 including her brother Arthur, and basically they've bonded over it. So this kind of is, and I'm not actually, shame on me for never having seen The Breakfast Club, but like I know what it's about, because I've seen bits and pieces. I wasn't really into the 80s movies because I was like, I felt like I was really young and I was still into like cartoons at that time. But you know, the misfits, right? Like a group of misfits who bond, although these kids aren't in detention and bonding over that, they're bonding over this incident that happened and how they can relate to each other. So there's 6 of them. They call themselves the Ordinary, and they make videos like mockumentaries for YouTube. And one day as they're going to an abandoned house in the town called the Jenkins house to make a video, they witness like what looks like the blowing out of, you know, an electric tower or whatever at the substation. And they go and they find something glowing on the ground and they touch it, and basically it changes everything for all of them. It involves things like superpowers and the FBI coming in and trying to figure out, like, are these alien beings coming to destroy the world? Do we need to save the world? And they're all kind of, each of the kids, you know, and I'm using the term kids because I'm going to be 37 soon, so 17, 18 feels like a kid to me these days. But they each have like a yearning for something, you know. Some of them outside the small town, some of them have a yearning to get out, some want to get out but can't because they have other responsibilities due to what happened. It's basically how this tragic freak accident affects all of them. This just really hit home for me because there were some personal things in terms of things this group of friends did or interests that they had that made me think of someone, and that was really emotional for me. You know, I kind of wondered about the recluse and what was going to happen, and I'm very happy with the way that turned out. I actually really liked the ending of this book a lot because I wasn't sure what to expect, because a friend said something like, wait till you get to the ending, smiley winky face, and I was like, okay, what does that mean? Like, that can either be good or bad. But this book just like really hit me in the feels, and in a really good cathartic way, and I kind of want to reread it already, which is saying something for me because that almost never happens to me, and I don't even like to reread. Actually, I'd like to reread A Million Junes too, because that book was amazing as well. And then sometimes I worry about rereading and thinking that like it's gonna like somehow ruin it, you know, as opposed to getting better each time. But this book is deep. It's definitely not a surface level book. There's a bit of science in here. I wouldn't call it science fiction. There's a lot about black holes because Franny's brother had been injured in the accident, and he had an interest in, you know, black holes and the universe and science. And this book really does a great job of putting into perspective like how vast the universe is and like how it's to our benefit and what that means for us. If you've ever lost someone, either by death or just like lost a connection with someone, this book is, I think you need to read this book, honestly. I think that this book really puts it into a different perspective about what it means to lose someone, whether, like I said, we lose them physically or we lose them spiritually or we lose the connection we have with that person. I'm actually trying not to get emotional just recording this, thinking about it. And if you follow this channel, if you follow me on Instagram, then you know, like, I don't like to feel the feels usually. But I guess Emily Henry might be my exception to that rule. This book, if you're looking for, like, what is this book like? Like, I don't understand speculative fiction or magical realism or the metaphysical. And I would say, for me, if you've read The Host by Stephanie Meyer, which, full disclosure, love that book too, except the first 100 pages was super slow, but that was a time in my life where I could get through 100 slow pages to get to 500 really fast-paced, amazing pages. So I feel like this is a cross between The Host and Stranger Things, which I never finished. I think I was partway through the second season of that. Maybe I was partway through the first. I don't even remember. But that's what I would consider this book a cross between. The description says it's The Serpent King meets Stranger Things, and I've never read The Serpent King, so I can't really say one way or another. I heard that was a really emotional book. But Emily Henry is just like a wizard. I don't know. First of all, I don't know how she does it. If you follow her on Instagram, she's kind of cool to follow because she seems pretty quirky, like in a super cool way. I love her writing style, but I just love the topics that she touches because I have not come across somebody else who touches on these topics in the way that she does. And like I said, for me, it like resonates to my soul. So if a book resonates on with my soul, that's 5 stars for me. And there were a few typos in this book, but I really can't blame Emily Henry because I have to blame the editorial process for that, because, you know, how many sets of eyes were on this, and it wasn't jarring enough to detract from the story, just something I noticed because, I write and I also edit and proofread for a living, so I tend to notice those kinds of things more so now than ever before. But for the most part, your brain probably would just like gloss over them because they weren't really big, like little things. They were little things. But I feel like I'm kind of going on a tangent because I really don't. This book is just so amazing that I don't want to give away anything that could possibly spoil it. But if you're looking for a book about grief, friendship, dealing with tragedy, books about, you know, hope, feeling small in a very big universe, and like how to change perspective on that, family dynamics, this book is really, it's amazing. And I also highly recommend Emily's other books. Please check out my reviews of them on this channel. She's actually really good friends with Brittany Cavallaro, which I just a couple videos back, or no, last video I think, reviewed the fourth Charlotte Holmes book. They have a collab together called Hello Girls, which I think is contemporary and it's about female friendship, and normally I wouldn't read it, but I love them both so much that I think I might break my norm and buy it and read it, because I just hope it's something magical, because I adore both their writing. So there is that as well. I think Hello Girls, I think is what it's called. I don't know why I can't remember. It's only 2 words. It's like New Girls or Hello Girls or something like that. Has a girl with sunglasses on the cover, and it's like pink and girly. But this book is really good. Also, like, if you like X-Files, I think you would enjoy this book. So maybe it's like X-Files, Stranger Things / The Host is how I would classify this. If you're into like Neil deGrasse Tyson and, you know, Science Channel shows and that kind of stuff, I think you would enjoy this as well. She creates really great dynamic characters, in my opinion. Like, they're really multi-dimensional. The town is super multi-dimensional, and the writing is just very, it's not overly descriptive to me, it's just right. But like I said, I could be biased because I love Emily Henry, and that's kind of a scary thing to say, right? Because you're always waiting like, oh, am I gonna love the next book that they do? And you know, it's okay to not love every book that an author you love puts out, right? Like, we love people, we don't necessarily love every single thing about someone, but you can still love them anyway. And it's like that with books too. So sorry for rambling so much. I'm still kind of reeling from this. I just finished it last night, so that's probably why this video is like all over the place, but I also like to do them before I forget too much, because my memory is not always the greatest. But yeah, if you already love Emily Henry, you gotta read this. If you like X-Files, Stranger Things, or if you enjoyed The Host by Stephenie Meyer, I wouldn't say so much the movie on that, although the movie was okay. I'd say more so the book. You definitely need to check out When the Sky Fell on Splendor by Emily Henry. In the meanwhile, happy reading and happy writing.